children. What does the discipline look like? I remember at one point this lady that I knew when I was either way back in the day. We didn't date or nothing, but I knew her children. She had boys, just all boys. It was like 4 boys, and them, you know what I mean? They got it in, bro. They got it in, bro. Like, you know, anytime 4 boys sharing a room,
yeah.
just imagine 4 boys sharing a room. It's time to go to sleep. What that could look like. You know what I mean? I just went in there and turned the TV off. And she said, "You don't discipline my kids." I was like, you know, hey, you know, you got it.
Oh, no, I feel that.
So I want to go back to your question, and you said you have to meet the dad. What if there are situations too where the dad isn't present, the dad wants no involvement with the children? Would you not date her if the dad, or he has no interest in even meeting you?
Well, I didn't say I have to meet the dad before I get there. I just say before I'd feel comfortable disciplining another man's kids, I'd want to at least have a conversation with, even if he's not in their lives. I'd least, you know who it is. I'd at least want to holler, "Hey, bro, look, I'm gonna be around your kids. If you want to step up, I don't mind. But I'd at least want to do that, for I'm comfortable just whooping a child that's not mine."
Okay. And I don't have any children, so I don't know
Me neither, so
what
that's
this conversation would even look like. But for the men who have dated women with other children, what does that conversation look like? How does discipline come up in your interaction with the child? Is it like, hey, the mom says, hey, if the child doesn't listen, then you can tap on the back of the head? Or like, how do those conversations come about to even know what's acceptable in disciplining the child?
Yeah, honestly, I don't even know. Like, I can't say that I actually dated a woman with children. But what I don't even think the conversation generally comes up until it's a big deal. Generally, like, and like, I can just say my mom, you know what I mean? She had 3, you know what I mean? And she did meet, you know what I mean? She did have boyfriends. I ain't gonna say not really. We introduced to maybe 2 dudes. And that was something that I know was a big deal for them. Like, not necessarily just when can you actually even tell them what to do? You know what I mean? Especially with like just we made it harder for their relationship to go anywhere just because of the fact that dynamic itself. You know what I mean? It's that's just a rough one. Like, signing up for that, I think that you got to think it is a lot of responsibility, and you probably end up having to just take a back seat in the house a lot more than you would probably think you would if you don't really like put a good bit of thought into it. That's what I would think.
Yeah. I haven't really dated women that had kids. I've kind of intentionally steered away from that, which I mean might seem funny, being the fact that I have a kid. But I think a lot of that just comes down to not wanting that, or having to deal with that bit of drama. But to go to the notion of what you were just talking about, when it comes to introducing and how you introduce and when you introduce, and then the place or point that you would want that person to play, that's something that I do have familiarity with. With, you know, like when a woman is like, I feel comfortable enough for her to meet my son. The role that I want them to be is pretty much just be a solid human being. And by that meaning, so I'm take enough time before I actually meet them, meaning that we're going to go through the entire dating phase. I'm going to go ahead and vet you out. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that you're a really good person and that I trust you and you have characteristics in which I don't think would be detrimental to be around my kid, right? So once we've made it past that part and I've gotten comfortable enough to where I think, okay, I see us inside a long-term scenario and I think it's around time for you to meet my kid, then at that point, like there's an introduction, but at that point you're just an adult, and that's your role. And of course, I think that in general there are do's and don'ts that adults have with kids. Just in general. So I would say that in that capacity, it then becomes, can you correct them? Yes, because like as an adult and as a kid, like if the general space of which like them doing some dumb shit or them like I don't know, like I'm trying to think of like an example of something to correct, like leaving trash out or something like that. Sure, I think that's regular things. I don't see that specifically as like discipline. The big discipline word. Mm-hmm. Is there a space where you need to put your hands on anybody? No. Like, I think that that's a line where you draw that. And I don't think that I've progressively gotten to a space where that's even been a thought or necessity. In general, I would say that I think physical discipline should be reserved for the actual biological parents. And it allows for so much cleaner lines and no messiness. Like, if we're talking about correction, I think that correction can come from anybody. Your teachers, your aunts, your uncles, your neighbors, your mother or father's person that they're talking to. Good advice is good advice, and I don't think that is important to like make sectioned off to where like a person can't say nothing to my kid. No.
I got a question. You said like physical discipline should only. What if like you're raised by like your grandparents or like adoptive parents? Does it apply in that? But like not everybody's raised by their like biological parents.
I think grandparents automatically get to
Yeah.
put hands on you. That's definitely
Blood. I
automatic.
think blood relatives in general, like that are wise enough.
Okay.
Like, you also have your uncles and aunts that's your age.
Yeah, right.
No. You know what I mean?
So, no.
But, like, yeah, like your grandma. Yes, the grandma, yeah. She owns rights to a belt.
Yeah, facts.
Like, the belt can come out.
Switch.
Yeah, you can pull the Jones out.
Oh, them switches used to be hell back
Better
in the day,
switch.
too.
Talking about a
bro.
wilt your ass up too
Them
good.
switches used to be
Yeah.
hell.
Man, I ain't gonna front. The way I came up, if my mama had a boyfriend or she had us around somebody, she trusted them to doggone whoop our tail. It was kind of just a thing. Like, she didn't have us around people she didn't trust to discipline us. And I just kind of think that's, like how you just said, Quintel, I think that's kind of the key, to trust the person that you're around. Or if you're going to bring this person into your life. Like, if you can't trust them to discipline your kid, then you probably really can't trust them.
You don't need
Nah,
to be, probably
I
don't need
don't
to be
agree.
dealing with them. I understand.
Well, no, I just don't. I don't specifically agree, only because of I think that person's version of discipline can be way inconsistent from like what you as a father or parent might deem necessary, especially if you're the other person, right? Where I think maybe we can like it can segue itself into like our ideas of what parenting, gentle parenting, spanking, X, Y, and Z looks like. And what we think is necessary when it comes to raising a kid. But trusting a person to be a good adult and trusting their disciplinary actions, to me, I do kind of like, to me, it is a big difference because I think that, I don't know, I think that whooping kids and things like that, like it's its own delicate scenario that has to be treated inside its own thing.
So do you believe that? Do you believe in physical
Punishment? Yes.
Oh, okay. You believe in physical punishment?
Yeah, I mean, I've been a kid. I ain't got children, but there was times growing up where, like, I crossed the line and I deserved to get my ass whooped. I got my ass whooped, and I learned from it. Like, there's certain I can go back to certain spaces. Like, my dad whooped my ass, and I was like, yeah, that's probably something I don't need to even be entertaining. You know, so just it helps. It like as far you can't rely on it. Like, you can't like if your kid doesn't take the trash out, beat his ass, and then when he really fuck up, beat his ass and expect it to be effective. But if you use it judiciously and when it's necessary, I think it is something that helps because it's something that you remember.
So in other words, you feel like you had well-deserved ass whoopings growing up.
The two that I remember, yeah.
Two?
I'm saying the
God
two. No, I'm
damn.
saying no. I got more. No, I got
Kinda
more. I
white.
got more ass whoopings than that. But I'm saying there's two
Oh,
specifically
specific.
that stick out of my head, and
I
I'm
would
like,
say-
PTSD.
I agree with you.
The pop got there.
yeah.
Put in some
I agree
work.
with you. There were a few times where I got my ass beat, and I remember I remember those few times. But for me, I was more of a child of. You know how parents say if you do well, you get rewarded with things? So my rewards were the things that like my parents would take away from me. So when I got in trouble, my mom would literally
Yeah.
strip my room. So she would take my TV,
Yep.
VCR, DVD, radio, whatever brought me any type of
PlayStation, all that
enjoyment,
shit.
toys, and she would literally lock them in her closet. So she put her hands on me like the times I can remember. I don't remember it being a lot. But more than anything else, they took my actual items from me, and I'd be like, "Damn! Now I just gotta sit here, look at my four walls."
Do you know something crazy? Like my mom tried that with my sister.
You
Right?
know we ain't gonna let you get away from answering the question too.
Oh no, that's fine. My mom tried that with my sister. My mom tried that with my sister, like taking her things, and my sister literally just, it never worked. It wasn't. It was like to the point to where she didn't care. Like
Well, you got to see what she
I was watching TV, but like you would have thought that it was the TV.
Well, nah, you
But
gotta
then
figure out.
She
Yeah, that's
literally
like,
went from
it's just
watching
literally
TV.
about figuring it out.
Yeah, hey,
'Cause
it
now
was
my-
crazy because like it was. I seen her trying not to have to pull the belt out and just use because working all day and then you get home, you really don't feel like whooping ass like that. Then you got to call pops from cross town, and that's where the capital punishment
Yeah,
come
she
in.
don't- she don't wanna
when
call
pops
pops.
got to come from cross town to come and get you. You know what I mean? So she ain't use that all the time. But like I seen her try like little methods of like taking the TV or stay in your room, and like for my sister, for us the boys, it would murder us because we wanted to go outside and play football.
That's
and
what my parents
get
took
into
away,
the shit you know what I mean?
outside.
My sister didn't care; she wasn't going outside like that, no way. Then you know what I mean? She go to your room. I was gonna be chilling in my room anyway. Then you know what I mean? It was like trying to find that thing that really got to her. And I remember that last ass whooping she got too. You that's funny that you you remember those pinnacle ass whoopings.
Hell yeah.
That, and what you did, why you deserved it. You know what I mean?
That's facts.
Like for
That's
sure.
facts.
Okay, now back. You said it. What's the question again that I need to make sure I answer?
Hey, before we
you-
do that, I'll say welcome back to the To Be Fair show. I am your host, Johnny P.
Over here, real.
It's Q.
And then we'll let Rail go.
Oh, no, I think you was asking about the belief in whooping your kids.
Oh yes, I definitely believe in whooping kids. I definitely believe. This whole idea of this gentle parenting thing. Y'all can try it out. You know what I mean? All these folk, y'all can try it out, and then just let me know how that goes. I'm gonna stick to what I know. You know what I mean? Where I got my burns and bruises and learned my lessons. And like you say, you remember it and you didn't do that shit again. Or if you did do it again,
You knew what was coming.
You were definitely, if you got caught, you knew it was coming. And you were much more strategic if you didn't get caught, it was because you were being more strategic.
Facts.
Yeah, I guess if we are to add like a nuance to this, I do think that there is an evolution of parenting that should happen though, and it shouldn't be a parrot of what your parents did. Where a lot of times we can go back and we can also look at whether it's your parents or you've seen parents, and just like the general scope where discipline you might be getting whoopings for things that aren't specifically whooping worthy, and a corrective action that doesn't deserve a whooping. And I think that is also something to kind of like pay attention to and think about when like we're talking and having this conversation. So we're all in agreement of like, okay, you should whoop your kids, but then we do have to drill into like the nuance of like when, because I think it could kind of come off irresponsible if we don't do that, only because of like I am a firm like, do I whoop my kid? Sure, he's gotten whoopings, but it is also very rare. I think that maybe 2 times in his life, maybe 3, maybe he's gotten a real whooping. Right? He gets
Whooped him with a belt.
Yeah, he's gotten a whooping with a belt maybe 2 times in his life. And this was after doing like extremely egregious things, to where this wasn't like first, second, or third, and this is in a culmination of something, and it came to a point inside like the quote unquote conditioning process in which it was like, all right, there has to be a very discernible moment to where you can draw back to and remember next time not to do that.
Facts.
So you don't think if you would have gave him that whooping the first time, he wouldn't have remembered the first time?
Do I think that in this scenario, I don't think that the scenario lends itself for that, in which that I'm talking about. But do I think that? I think there's pieces of it, right? Where so, I think that there's some things that you nip in the bud, but then it's also not a point where like you have to whoop a kid every time they're doing something wrong.
Oh,
I think that
becomes- I agree with you
there's
on that.
I
That
think
becomes
that there's
ineffective.
so much,
Like once you start doing that, they no longer
right.
And
It's going to numb
start-
itself out as well. And I think that for me, like I lecture way more than I whoop, right? But I also, like I said, like so with my son, I've whooped him 2 times, right, officially. And the thing about it is that he's not a bad kid, though.
And I
So
got a
it seems as though like the conversations and the corrective actions, and like we'll do like calisthenics and different things like that, but me actually physically putting my hands on them, it's fair far in between, because of I think that there are so many other options, and that should leave itself to be like an end thing, like a last resort thing. Yes.
So let me ask you, and this is something that, so do we not count like a certain age to start counting those whoopings? Does that make sense? Or do we start counting them at a certain age is what I'm saying? Because like, like poppings and spankings, those for kids.
A lot of that
Do you
comes
not
with
count those?
safety, because like a kid, you pop a kid if they better do something dangerous or something, like they touching the stove, get away. So a lot of that for a kid, well, a baby, is like just teaching them, how to maneuver in the world. But once you hit like, I think, middle elementary school age, the whoopings start coming for like behavior. That's when you start being bad. That's when you mischievous.
But I also say like I didn't really whoop QJ a lot as like a toddler or a kid or anything like that. Like a baby. There was stern like talking to moments where he knew I was really, really serious. Maybe a pluck here and there. But it was
But of them sons, boy, you got that flick of ear, got that
yeah,
head.
just a knuckle, just like a knuckle or something like that. But even that was fairly rare. Like I just like at that age it was a lot like you kind of like just like intimidate or like speak very directly or correct the action inside a different version or way of doing it. At least that's what I tried to do. And yeah, I think that maybe his first whooping might have came on the onset of him learning how to lie, and that's like a whole little thing that they go through or whatnot. In which, like, I was like, boom, let me make sure he understands that this is a serious moment. In which, like, if not nipped early, it builds itself out to something bigger.
Oh no, for
or
sure.
whatnot. But like I said, it's been reserved for extremely rare moments.
Yeah, and I came like one thing that I try to do too, and I say that this is important for me at least, that I don't like whoop my kids or whoop my daughter. Look, I wouldn't whoop I wouldn't discipline physically while I'm angry. Like, and honestly, I don't really my kids. It isn't their decision making or like just doing what they're doing. It doesn't really make me angry. So it's not like I'm like whooping out of anger, but I definitely wouldn't like. I remember the fact that Pops was coming from cross town. He was hot, and he was coming to lay law, like dead serious. Like that was every single time that he came, no matter what it was. If he was coming cross town, you was gonna hold it, like seriously. You know what I mean? So I try not to be like mad. You know what I mean? It's more like I want you to understand the reasoning more than me inflicting pain, like real pain on you.
Well, also, I think, like, once you whoop a kid too much, like, I think we all known people that grew up that were overly disciplined. Mm-hmm. And you see kind of, especially now we get older, how there's negative effects to that, how they become, some of them are impulsive, some of them, become violent and reactive, their own selves. So, like you say, there's always a time and a place, and if you just rely on that, you're doing a disservice to the next generation, because you're going to raise somebody that's going to want to turn around and inflict that pain anytime he feels slighted or wronged and disrespected. They're not going to know how to internalize it and come up with. They're just going to react. They're just going to lash out.
I think that's also where gentle parenting kind of comes in, because it's the agreement between the child and the parent with boundaries, empathy, compassion. I forgot the other pillar, to where it's a space for the child to still express themselves, and the parent has to be open to receiving that. So, like my nephew, right? I have twin nephews, and they're 5. So if Aiden's upset, he'll be like, Aiden's angry. And I'm like, okay, Aiden, so why are you angry? Like, talk to me. What made you mad? So it's more about like just creating a space for children to express themselves, instead of being like, oh, dad is going to hit me, let me shield myself. Because I've also seen that with kids as well. Oh, yeah. Where the child would do something, automatically they're ducking and, holding their head because they know they're going to get hit. And it's like, okay, well, why did you do that? Like, you still have to talk to your children at a young age so that they can feel comfortable expressing themselves, so that the relationship y'all have when you're raising your child isn't so much of just punishment. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, let me understand where I'm wrong, why I'm wrong. And, you can implement little steps from the time they're like, they're kids up until, they're 18 or however old you do it. you implement those steps so children understand, okay, yeah, this is wrong, this is why this is wrong, and this is why I would be punished for doing X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, and like you said, it also teaches, I ain't raised no kids, so I don't know, but I'd imagine once you give a kid that space, or I'll have gentle parenting too, along with the whooping. So I think there's a balance that you have to have of both.
And that's what I was. That was the distinction I wanted to make sure I made.
But
Yes,
like Taj was saying, as far as like when you're able to express yourselves, it helps you be a more emotional, intelligent person. As far as you can understand why you act a certain
Yes.
way, or like when you lash out, instead of just being a person that lash out, you can know, well, I'm feeling upset. Let me not say nothing right now. It just makes you more of a responsible, just human being in the long run. Both of them though, because like you say, you can't let motherfuckers just do whatever and say whatever without any kind of consequence, any kind of accountability either.
I think that a good place to kind of finish it off at is it all goes back to the idea and the general thought process of being a conscious parent and understanding that what you're doing has to be done with some level of intention. Whether you're whooping your kid, whether it's gentle parenting, whether you're showing empathy, whether you're allowing them to express themselves at a moment. Because I do think that all of these things are extremely important. Make sure that you're conscious of it and you're doing it for a reason. Because I think that any parenting style done excessively probably isn't the most healthiest. Like if you don't actually get any level of discipline, I think that lends itself to its own toxic place. But the same way, I think that if you over discipline, it ends up having like emotionally shallow kids that are, possibly more prone to like, we can go down the line, violence or being easily triggered,
all kind of stuff,
bully or bullied. Like it's a lot of like emotional implications that can also come from it, in which I know for me, I just stand on the ledge of make sure that inside correcting the actions that you're correcting, you're not damaging the kid as well.
Oh yeah, no, I like that. I think it's kind of like football. You got to have a balance. You can't just be a run team where you run all 4 downs, or a passing team where you just throw the ball. You got to switch it up. That's why they got play action, and it's all about balance and
trick play. You think I'm about to whoop you, but you about to catch this lecture.
Play action, little play action. But I think that's a good point to put a pin in it.
Yeah.
And I think we got another topic.
Alrighty, so the next question I want to discuss is your friendships. Are you guys vulnerable in your friendships? Like, are you open? Do you talk about things that bother you?
I guess to start it off, I'll probably say that I'm learning to be vulnerable. I wouldn't say that's something that I've naturally exercised, but I would say that that's something that I'm trying to be a little bit more intentional about. Inside, like a double-edged way where like being more vulnerable and actually, checking in and talking with friends about different things when it comes to like that uncomfortable, vulnerable space per se.
I'll say, well, I got a pretty decent friend circle, so I got friends that I may be more vulnerable with in certain circumstances. I think everybody, as far as that emotional evolution and getting to that space, I think everybody is on the different timeline. So I got certain friends I can be more vulnerable with about like relationship. They may be, more experienced. They may have gone through something. So I have to relate to you a little bit. So if I know you've gone through something similar, I can come to you and be a little more vulnerable, vice versa. I got certain friends I go to when I'm, about money. I got certain friends I go to about like my job and family. So yes and no, but I try to, that's the thing. That's why it's good to have a lot of friends. So I take bits and pieces, and I can lean into certain person for this, and I can lean into certain person for that. But it's always something that you got to work on, especially now that I'm more, I know about it. I can be more intentional about it. But I found that's why I've always surrounded myself with a lot of people, so I can, or good people too, so you can lean into them.
Yeah, I guess for me, to be completely honest, like I think that I am pretty vulnerable with the people that are close to me. Because like I pretty much remain the same. Like I'm an open book. You know what I mean? And a lot of the homies tend to come and talk to me about things. You know what I mean? So like, and I always try to make sure that I put. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's something about me that I always want to be my authentic self at all time. Don't really lie about nothing. You know what I mean? Don't lie, and just consistent. I don't know. So like, it's important to me because at any moment I might want to talk about something. You know what I mean? That's serious to me. So I'm the type of person I'll have the conversation with anybody. You know what I mean? I'll tell my truth. Period. So like, being vulnerable is not something that's. I'm pretty fond of.
So
it,
how well do you do when it comes down to having tough conversations with friends?
I guess it depends on like what the conversation is. So like if the tough conversation is somebody passing their family.
No,
I'm
just
not really
like maybe uncomfortable conversations per se. Matter of fact, we can have a good conversation right here. I think this is a good point. So if we were to like do like a quick recap of probably like me and Rail's just relationship in general, right? Mm-hmm. We could probably say that like we was close for a really decent period of time. Then we kind of fell off for a couple of years or whatnot. Mm-hmm. And then we had a really good conversation. Thanks. And then, you know what I mean, it kind of led itself to where, we was able to kind of get close again. Mm-hmm. And I think that a piece of that gap was a part where I think both of us probably the tough conversation that needed to be had.
Yes.
Like we seen each other, but we didn't necessarily have the tough conversations until it got itself to a point where that was a thing that happened, and then we all felt great about it.
Yeah. No.
And I think that would be kind of like the thing where, or the space that I'm speaking about, where like in general having those tough conversations, how tough is it to actually like muster up to get that I don't know what the word would be, but like to actually have those conversations.
Yeah, I'd say that, and the thing is, it was in our situation specifically, and that's a great question that you asked, and I'm glad you used that example, because in our situation specifically, I think that what made it harder to actually address it head on was the fact that myself, I still felt I had guilt in the scenario.
Okay. So
it was not even almost. It was a point of like expressing how I felt about what happened, but then also, coming from a place where I can explain where my reaction came from, and put myself on the table to be honest about my guilt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that guilt portion made it a lot harder to address it head on. Mm-hmm. And like I say, that was honestly, I think that was for in my life in general. I think that us handling that was very, very important. Mm-hmm. It's just one of those moments, like you say, if you want to teach, like something that you should learn early, you know what I mean, is to be accountable, and the people that you love, to value the relationship to where the communication is open enough that we don't allow these little differences, like, you know what I mean, push us away from each other.
And again, I would say, on my side, I would say that even inside like that conversation, because it was also multiple pieces of it that I know that I had been kind of like, it's been on my mind, it's been present. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It'd be like, all right, I'll get around to having this conversation. I'll get around to having this conversation. I'll get around to having it. But it's so easy to be like, maybe this isn't the right time. Mm-hmm. Or next time, we're going to hop into the shit next time. Or whatnot. Until, like, it reaches the point where, like, you just have to kind of get there and address it. And, yeah, I mean, I think that even inside, like, the scenario, I think that there's pieces in which we all find fault and guilt, as you said. And being able to express that part, that's the real vulnerable part. Mm-hmm. And being vulnerable enough to say that, hey, I was wrong in this capacity. Right. To an actual friend, I think that is sometimes the tough part.
Yeah, because if you looking at it nowadays, even look at social media, rather than be accountable and admit guilt, you'd rather just throw the whole thing away and then just be like, yeah, fuck that nigga. You know what I mean?
Right.
That makes no sense.
That's part of the culture now.
Bro,
That's part of. I like to.
Everyone's disposable.
And that was a beautiful moment y'all had right there, fellas, man. You know,
oh no, I'm telling you, bro. If you and you know the crazy thing is like, I haven't talked to my pops about it, right? So talked to old head about it, and his thing, man, just go ahead and talk to him about it. Just have a conversation. He said, just have a conversation. And I remember I slightly brung it up, but we talked about it so surface level to where it didn't even get into anything.
Right.
And then when I left, I was like, damn, that still didn't fulfill what, you know what I mean? That wasn't it. So it came back again. We're going to drop it out there again. And then we finally ended up getting through the, you know what I mean?
Yeah, diving into the weeds.
Yeah. So like, that was that. Yeah, no, that was very important. And my pops, he still hang his hat on that. Like, yeah, if it wasn't for me, y'all wouldn't even, you know what I mean? He like that. He like those moments where he, you know what I mean? He pushes some positivity into it, and the result comes out being, you know what I mean, what he thought, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think that there goes a piece of like our ego inside there as well. But I think
That's what I was about to say.
I mentioned this last episode, but I think that this one is another good part where we get to a point where I think that it is important to destroy your ego, especially when it comes to the people that you're around, the friends or whatnot, because of I think we're all at an age now where we've lost friends way earlier than what we would have.
Fact. Oh, that's fact. Now I want to build on what you just said there about like destroying your ego, and like I've had them tough conversations. I remember same scenario where a homie of yours, you know, you be locked in, some shit go down, you kind of or whatever happened, but you kind of stray away, and you're not gonna lock back in until and what it is somebody gotta, you say destroying your ego, but that's kind of like a negative, but what it is, somebody has to step up and be humble. Somebody has to like and there's strength in that as far as like knowing yourself, knowing who you are, and being able to come to another man and, you know, kind of not bow down, but make yourself small and take yourself out of that situation and be like, this is where I was wrong. I've done some, you know, bettering of myself.
I think that it'd be good to change the terminology.
Make yourself small?
Yeah.
I was just thinking
because I don't think that that's making yourself small.
It's making yourself.
I think that that's standing up. And I think putting strength inside vulnerable words is a lot better than it would be like saying vulnerable and like minute and small and different things like that. Right. Because it's really the tougher thing to do.
Well, yeah, that's what you gotta.
Being prideful is the easy thing.
That's
being vulnerable is so hard.
Being humble.
Being prideful is small.
Being humble in a situation and coming in with like
that's big.
I know.
We gotta be intentional.
I know that I'm not. Yeah, I know I'm around greatness. I know that there was a certain moment I might not have lived up to that same greatness, and so I got to apologize. I got to, you know, own up and take accountability for not being great. I'm still great, and I know that I'm great. I'm not, you know, like you said, I'm not just taking anything away from myself. I'm just, you know, giving, you know, credence to, you know, what is. And sometimes people struggle with doing that. I think if you don't know yourself, if you ain't done the self work, if your mental ain't right, if you listening to if you get external validation from like social media, what people say, is hard to do that because external validation ain't gonna necessarily allow you to do that.
I was also gonna say having these conversations show that you value that person. It shows that you value that relationship, and it's something that you don't want to lose. So yeah, and like you were saying earlier to the social media point, social media makes it seem like everyone is disposable. Not everyone is disposable because there are things that people do bring to your life that other people can't. So I do feel like when you find good, solid, healthy, sustainable relationships, that you need to hold on to those. And tough conversations are going to happen. I mean, nobody's friendship is all happy all the time. You know, there are going to be times where you guys fall out. You're going to be disconnected at times or whatever. But I think just coming back to the point and realizing that, hey, I value you, you value me. We are friends. Let's figure this out.
Well, and a lot of like these friendships here, and like I said, y'all been locked in 20 years plus. You can't go out and rebuild that with nobody else. Like I got friends that I've known 30 plus years. I'm gonna have the tough conversation, no matter how hard it is, because I can't go and get 30 years back if like we've been like if you've been locked in with somebody like a homie, like that's family. So
Yeah.
like even family members, like you can't like replace somebody that's seen you grow up, seen your evolution. They know you better than if you just meet somebody out there and you say, "Oh, we're gonna be friends, or we're gonna be locked in from this moment." There's no, it doesn't equate. You know,
And I
there's two different things.
I also think that like another thing that's valuable about like those tenured friendships and relationships, or just having just a good circle around you is that it's a means of being able to find account or being held accountable.
Oh yeah.
So like, and we all need that. We need that because you know these people that's just be around you. They yes man a lot.
It's a
They
whole bunch
just
of
go
them.
with you know what I mean. Whatever it is that you're saying, whether it makes sense or not, they'll literally let you jump off the cliff.
Sometimes
Man.
people will not be friends with you because of that.
Yeah, nah, for sure.
Yeah, no, but see the thing is that at the end of the day, and I think well, I'm gonna say well as a man, I know that as women too that is very important. But I'm just saying as a man. I think that is very important for us because, like, the question we had one time was, do men hold each other accountable?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I can tell you this: that's one thing that I definitely like to try to hold my friends accountable, and I like for them to hold me accountable.
What the?
And that is like one of the best and most important parts of that 10-year friendship is that there has to be somebody that can call you on your shit and you respect that opinion because you know it's coming from a place of love.
No matter how
Right.
big you get, you could be president, you could be whatever, but if like you ain't got somebody around here that's gonna be like, "Hey, bro, you fucking up right
Right.
here, like right here, A through C, you fucking up," and like and everybody else like on your dick, you big time. They ain't gonna, you know, a lot of people only hang around so they can be, you know, and take advantage of that. They're not gonna call you out. They scared. Some people be scared to call you out because
Yeah.
they riding, you know, whatever. Because they just gonna, you know, ride it till the wheels fall off. But it's
Yeah.
people that like see you build the car, seen you, you know, trade up to even get that car, and so they ain't gonna. They not just riding. They like, hey, bro, you fucking up. I want to see you get there. So I'm gonna tell you where you fucking up because like going back to the parents. My parents used to say, "This hurts me more. It's gonna hurt me more. It's gonna hurt you." And it's the same thing with your friend. I'm telling you this because like it might not be what you want to hear, but it might be something that you need to hear.
Nah, that's a fact. I guess I would say that going back to like your space of you was talking about value, and that to have those conversations, it's a valuable thing, and that you see value in the person. I would go back to like even like me and Rail's scenario. That would be something that in my mind that I understood that the value of that relationship, that friendship was high, right? So it did leave a space to where it was like, like there's an emptiness piece that I do want to kind of reconnect with, but then it was kind of like figuring out how to actually do that,
Oh yeah.
and then like I said, going back to the tough conversations with friends part, where then it's like, dang, all right, so this is like I've stepped away from this friendship, but there is still a missing piece to where like boom, there's the yearn to actually reconnect because again, there is people that you can have disagreements with, and then just be like, "Fuck it." But then that then allows you to realize that space and place that person actually has inside your life, and their value to you or whatnot. Not
And
that they're
there's
not valuable, but they don't have specific value to you.
But there's differences in disagreements too. You can disagree with somebody and you can see their true colors, and you can disagree with somebody and it's just be like, "Oh, we think differently, but it's still my friend, and I still value him as a." So there's differences in like like it sound like whatever. It just sound like we going this way, but like you can still like disagree with your friends. I think that's an important part. You don't have to agree.
nah, for sure.
You know,
and that's a big part for sure. And as you get older, like you realize that like disagreements is a part of life, and people, you know what I mean, like you said, going their own different ways is a part of like everybody's everybody's growth as of becoming their own person, their own man, their own woman, or whatnot. And yeah, but no, like I said, just staying to the point of value of what you're saying, that you do realize the relationships that are valuable because you are going to yearn to want to reconnect them. And I think that that's an important piece as well. When it comes down to like when it is important enough to have like some of these tough conversations. I don't know. I guess let me see if I can formulate this into a question, or something to throw at. Where how do y'all approach? And this is kind of yearning off, like we're making a slight pivot, but it stays to the same place. Friends, how do you have the tough conversations with friends that are swaying in the wind? Maybe that's the way. If y'all understand what I'm saying.
You said swaying in the wind.
Swaying in the wind.
That's
What
a
is
good
that?
question.
You said,
Like friends that are just out there with no purpose. Or?
you could take it as that. You could take it as like friends that are going through a hard time right now, and they're just swaying. Like they like so many different things could happen, and the right or wrong conversation can take them either way.
Here's what I do, and like I mean, it's hard to approach. Like sometimes the easiest way to approach the elephant in the room is to walk around it and sneak up from behind. And like
I never heard that. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's a new
I,
one too. I
I,
never
I,
heard
I
that
was
either.
freestyle. I just made that one up. I just made that one up. But the point is, it's like sometimes, like instead of just saying, "Hey, bro, you fucking up here," or you know, there, you could sometimes like, because I've had to do this with some of my homies. Sometimes you just got to remind the person of who they are. And if they swaying in the wind, they might not be living in their purpose. So I got a homie. He been going through a hard time. He used to like to work out, and I ain't seen him in the gym. And I was like, bro, why you ain't doing what you do?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you're you. I know who you are, and I see you not being you right now. And like it ain't even like hard. You just gotta tap back into, you know. And that's how I try to approach it, to where like it's not a confrontational thing, or we're not being attacked. I'm not attacking you. I'm not
Right.
like coming at you, but I'm trying to build you up. And I just try to remind them of like who they are.
That's dope. That's dope. And I'm gonna tell you a way in which that I do the same thing to go around the elephant from behind. Right? That's dope. Bro. That's dope. A way that I choose to do it, and I do this in a lot of different relationship types. I'll because people know the way that I talk. Like I'm gonna talk about what my truth is. I'll randomly talk about something vulnerable.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's just me. Like we be on the Xbox and you know what I mean, and I literally get on the game just to talk to people. I don't
Yeah.
really care to play like that. I want to just
What's
talk with
up?
the homies
Chop
and
it up,
you know what I mean.
yeah.
And I got some thorough dudes that I connected with from being on there. And so like some people don't like the conversation, so they just mute their mic and they sit there, and I don't give a fuck. And but the people that engage, it's always wonderful conversation. So like I'll generally use something like, I'll use an example because I'm so spontaneous in the way that I'll just come up with a conversation. I'll come up with an example that the shoe may fit, or the shoe fits intentionally, but I'm not talking about you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm talking about something that you can connect to yourself if you should internalize
If you take it.
You know what I mean? But I'm not coming directly at you about said thing. You know what I mean? But in different ways, like that's how my way of going around the
Walking
backside of
and
the
sneaking
elephant. You know what I
around the
mean?
elephant.
And just talking about, you know what I mean? We talking about somebody completely different. I'm not gonna make it the exact same scenario, but the end or my
I'm just hoping they apply it. You
right,
giving
because
applicable
what I
advice.
feel about the scenario is still what I feel about that scenario too.
The advice goes
But I'm
both
just
ways.
the advice is still gonna get there. But
Yeah.
it's if you're paying attention,
You
then
go take
you'll take it. But you know what I mean. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But that's like my way of kind of circling around it.
Gotcha.
You got to
What's
answer
your
the
answer?
question.
Oh, what was it? What was the question again?
It was your question.
What was my question again? My bad. I zoned out for a second. I was listening, but I was just like in my own world as well. What was the question again?
It was
I guess it
All right.
was, how do you
Could I-
have those tough
the
conversations?
the
Or
Waverly
with people
friends.
swaying in the wind?
Oh shit! I was looking to get y'all advice from it. I hadn't even thought deep enough into to that. But honestly, but no. All right. So let me think to scenarios in which my friends that are waving inside the wind, that I might give them advice. I think that honestly, as I was younger, I thought that was a perfect thing to say, right? But as I've gotten older, I stripped myself of that, and I realized that all it is to just be present with them. Like, even if, like, in that moment, having a conversation about the most randomest of things, and it doesn't even have to be on topic, but being able to be an ear and an outlet is extremely important. Where you know, what I mean, you talk to them long enough, they're gonna kind of like crack open and be that person, and like give you whatever that thing
make 'em feel
is.
seen.
Right, and nah, that's a very very important thing as well. Where I think that among anything is kind of like what I present, and then as we talk through it, I'll give like my perspective. I think that usually the perspective that I present is going to be solution based, and it's going to be like, you know what I mean? All right, so these are the things, and then let's like how we get over this hump or whatnot. But I also don't like walking to a person that's wavering and just be like, all right, let's get your shit together. This is how we're going to do it, and that's that. Because it's not always that's not always the space that's needed at that moment or whatnot. So I approach it as an ear, and then I'll give some resolution or solution if needed. Just because of that's naturally just how my mind works. Like I only talk about like I only stay in empathy for but so long until I start going into like how we gonna get over this hump.
Facts.
Like what's the solutions? There's an end result, and we're gonna get there, but how we gonna get there? But yeah, so I guess all in all, that's kind of my answer to it. You got something else for us, Ms. Taj?
I guess I could give my answer. So I always check on my friends. How are you doing? How are you feeling? And I provide a listening ear. I'm the type of person that if you talk to me, I'm going to just let you talk, right? I don't try to, like, find a solution for them, but I'll ask them questions to where they can reflect and be like, okay, well, maybe I should do X, Y, and Z. Because my solution might not always fit your shoe. You see what I'm saying? So what we can do is collaborate on things that could possibly help you. You could try to implement some things, but I don't always have the solution for you. Sometimes it's a matter of you figuring out. But I just provide a listening ear because sometimes for people, I don't know how it is for men, but for women, sometimes you just got to like just emotionally dump. And that's one thing too is that with my friends, I do have a boundary. Like don't just dump all your stuff on me because I still have stuff that I'm dealing with as well. But if I feel like I can take on, you know, some of your emotional baggage, then sure, I would do that. Okay, what do you want to talk about today? And I'll just listen to you and we'll talk about it. But I do think that there is a time where you need to have like a safe boundary of like, hey, don't always come at me with issues. Let's also talk about the good things that are happening in your life. And let's go from there. I'm also here for your issues, but I'm not solely here just for the issues because that can be a lot for me to take in emotionally as well. But that's pretty much how.
That was a good answer.
That was dope.
I think did we satisfy your question, Quint?
No, it was fine. Everybody gave really good answers.
I guess we'll leave it there then.
All right, so we're going to throw it to Newton's Corner. What you got on your chest for us today?
Oh, no, I just seen them mean, it was like these three, like, they were black kids, but you could tell they was from nice neighborhoods. They look suburban. And they
I'm a
asked
suburban boy.
I definitely thought about that.
Yes. That's why I said that. That's funny as hell.
Look at me. Hey. I don't stay in the projects anymore. I'm not a project baby anymore. I'm a suburbs kid. I'm a suburban. I'm a suburban dude.
Suburban.
It's crazy. I ain't
They was suburban boys. Like you could tell. Like they was dressed nice. And then they asked them if they saw somebody shoot somebody in front of them, would they tell the police? And they was all like, "Oh no, I wouldn't." You know, I wouldn't. They was like, "But you ain't had nothing to do with it. Whether somebody, well, I'd call some people." They went through all this like mental gymnastics of why they wouldn't do the right thing because like they feel like they shouldn't snitch. And I was like, why do black people live like that's criminal shit? Like that's rule. Those rules apply to criminals, gangsters, thugs. It came from white people. It came from the La Cosa Nostra. You know,
Is that where it come from?
Yeah, it come from the Italians. It's called Omerta. And like, why do like regular black people that aren't in gangs, not living by street life, why do we feel like we have to live by like no snitching? I wouldn't tell the police anything. You might need to. They could like you might get robbed by them people, and you might need to call the police. But it just got on my nerves. It just like I was kind of pissed off when I saw it. But
I agree with you. You know what I mean? My thing is, and the point that you made, like if you're a law-abiding citizen and you're not benefiting from the life of whatever it is that's going on, or you're not a part of it, you know what I mean? Then it's not snitching.
It's not.
It's not snitching, bro.
It's not.
Like, but if you rob niggas and somebody rob you and you call the police, you snitching, nigga. That's completely different. That is completely different from, you know what I mean? Like you say, if somebody just shot and killed the old lady on the corner, you know what I mean? And you know who did it, like, nah, bro, bring justice for that family. You know what I mean? You're that's a part of being, you know what I mean? A productive citizen is policing each other and making sure that, you know what I mean, your neighborhoods are safe and making sure that that's a part of being a community.
Yes, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So can I guess this will be the nuance to kind of like get
Nuance
to.
King.
Listen, we got to come up with a
This
segment that
nuance.
we got to come up with a segment that deals with me in the nuance. But this is the nuance that I've heard most people speak at it from, right? The idea of being a civilian and a person that's inside the streets. And that typically what I've heard is that if you are a civilian, that go ahead.
You said he was what? Inside the streets?
Well,
He's inside the streets. I just had heard that enunciated like that. Niggas in the streets, but inside of it.
oh my bad. You wanted me to say
No. I want you to
in
say
the
it. I want
streets,
you
my
to
bad.
articulate that motherfucker. You doing right. Go ahead.
All right. But the point would be that typically what you hear is that a person that's a civilian and a person that's in the streets, like there's a stark differentiation inside the policy where you're a taxpayer, you're not committing crimes, you're not doing other shit. You should tell. You should say whatever happens, and you should, you know what I mean? Be that of what a law-abiding citizen is.
And can I just one thing? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but that was a great point. A tax-paying individual in the neighborhood.
Hell yeah.
That's
Taxes
important.
expensive as hell, bro.
That is
They be
important.
killing my check.
Go ahead.
Yeah. But this is kind of the main different.
I'll let you finish, but I got to push that too.
This is the main differentiation that I've heard happen where those the suburban boys, we got to insert like the Kodak Black clip right there.
Yeah, because that shit going all the way over my head.
But nonetheless, like they are kids that are tax-paying citizens' kids, and they've not committed crime. They're not doing shit in which that is not important for them to abide by these rules. I think it comes down to the idea of like, if you are a person that is committing crimes and doing crimes, it is against the code to quote unquote snitch because of you're within that lifestyle. Mm-hmm. If you are a regular person, if you aren't like doing the dumb shit, talk about whatever happened. If that little girl got shot, go say what happened.
Well, I've seen people I think it was like the baby, I'm a comment diver. Like I'll see a post, like I go to the comments. That's
Would you say a comment diver?
Diver.
Okay.
Like I go and look at the comments. Yeah, bro tried to get me. Like bro definitely tried to get me. I ain't gonna like, hey, I saw what you did though.
Oh my bad.
But I look at the comments, so like I'll see a post and I'm gonna go look, and like I seen something like they people love to call people snitches for like I think it was the baby, and it's something in Miami, and he was talking about how and people like that's snitching.
It's the internet. You got like.
But that's real people though, and that's real.
No. But internet culture is extremely different than real culture. That's one thing that you really do have to like stop and differentiate. Is the fact that like even whether you go like to the Twitch streams, to World Star Hip Hop comment sections, YouTube comment sections, like the comment section is not reality in real life. You will always get lost in fallacy of what you think real life happens. Is if you do it in the comment section, especially depending on what that crowd is, because if you also see the same person comment very differently depending on the person that's posting.
That's true too.
And
but the comments love to call people
all over. It's pixie dust all over.
But they love to call people snitches though. Like they
right.
But I be like, bro, that's not even like bro.
But these are also people that's going to call the police.
Probably
like that. It's like you can't differentiate that.
That's a great point. Like
how Vlad he's going to.
I've never
interview people. Way. He's also going to talk to them about snitching and shit. But he'll also tell you, I'm a snitch. if something happened, I'm going to snitch, and that's the thing. That's it.
That's a crazy doc. Cause I've never thought about these people that saying, "Oh, he's a snitch." That they're actually snitching themselves. I thought like everybody was just living and dying by the code.
It's pixie dust, bro.
You got to be able to differentiate, bro. A lot of.
Dust.
But I just hate fake shit, bro. Why should I have
Hate it?
Like why should I have to read comments and be like,
the internet?
And don't just be sitting reading people comments.
Yeah,
and think you gonna get any kind of
you think the real shit coming from the comment section,
this shit
bro?
do be hilarious though. Like,
Yeah, at least if you want to
and
laugh,
that's what I'm
then
saying.
okay.
Like I go to the comment section for the laughs, bro.
I go for laughs, but then I be troubled. I be like, damn, these niggas is lost. I be looking for
I
laughs.
be trouble.
All right, so I got something we can get into real quick, right?
All right.
We talking about the internet, and I was just scrolling a second ago, right? And it brought me to this realization that, our kids are probably, maybe there's one generation right before them, but our kids are probably going to be the generation that is going to be able to see their parents' maturation in real time.
I see where you're going.
And I think that's interesting, right? So now it lends you to think of like, damn, what do you think the effect of a kid that's able to see their parents that were being negligent, that was outside, in real time?
Is funny. I don't know if y'all, but the outside. Is
Oh no, that's what we always
the
use
idea
it.
of being outside.
Oh
is
no, that's
funny
what we
as
use
shit.
it, bro.
And now I seen a meme. They had Hurricane Ivan come up to Florida, and they had to ride wave. They scared to come back.
People be having too much fucking time on their hands,
Bro,
bro.
that shit had me
Hey, it's
so
times
weak.
where I love the internet. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, no, it is entertainment.
I'm not even gonna
That's-
lie.
You gotta leave it and understand it is entertainment.
Right. Them
Like,
Jeffrey Dahmer memes been killing me this week. I'm not gonna hold you, bro.
Oh no,
The-
this nigga
I
down.
got one more meme for the week, but it was like it's been a bunch of niggas talking about what they would do if they was in Jeffrey Dahmer's house. He was like, I ain't know all you niggas was gay.
Hey, and then you know something funny? You think about it. That nigga Quintel, that nigga Q, he loves some ignorant ass humor, bro. That's your shit. That nigga loves some goddamn ignorant humor.
Oh no, that's where I live at.
Yeah.
That shit.
All right, but bringing it back to the question. Yeah. So what's your perspective when it comes down to like this being the first generation, and then imagine being a kid that's actually able to see whether it's their dad or their mom just really, really kind of be outside.
My first reaction is just with anything. I think there's pros and cons. Like there's some obvious, definite cons. Obvious cons about like why like it could be a bad thing. Like obvious cons, but I also think
He about to
like,
get into his nuanced with Quint.
Well, let's see.
Right.
Let's go ahead. You got to cross your legs when you get into the nuance. Right. God damn.
but I think there could be some pros as far as
One.
Hmm?
One. We're going to name him. We're going to
Juan.
do a
I
list.
thought you said
I thought he
Juan.
said Juan
Juan.
too.
Yeah, I was like, what did a Hispanic do here?
One is what?
You could see like actual evolution. So like you could see where your parents started, and if you see where they
But
end
now,
up.
what if they? I guess I'm placing this at the ones that's still outside. Like you like the kids that's 13, they get to still see their parents be outside.
Hey, you know that's crazy, but like, you know, it just made me
Or
think about-
14 or 15, 16, like
So what do you?
So you talking about it, like their parents still
it's
currently.
mad 16-year-olds that got 36-year-old moms.
You shouldn't be outside at 36. Like not on the internet acting
Think
a
so?
fool.
It's mad 36-year-olds that's outside.
Bro, if you 36, you got a 16-year-old.
Hey,
You probably
stop playing
shouldn't
with
be.
me.
You
Stop
probably
playing.
shouldn't.
Newton, understand
You
that.
probably shouldn't be on the internet.
Like you
saying
know,
stuff
you
that could've-
got women that's your age that's because all right. We'll cut some of the tension. We all over 30 in this
Yeah,
motherfucker,
it's-
and we ain't nobody 31.
It's chicks that had kids in high school, and them kids have graduated high school. I get that.
Right, and let's
I
not
get
pretend
that.
like inside your group or friend circle. Well, you ain't really on Facebook, but like on Instagram, wherever you at, that you don't see people your age still
the fuck
outside.
I mean, there are actually
Stop
some
playing.
grandmothers and grandparents that
Yes.
still be
Hell
in the
yeah.
club. So
It-
it's
Hey,
kind
it's
of
some
like
550-olds right now. Hey, it's a
Wow.
different type of time. I ain't gonna lie. It be some 550-olds.
you know,
But I mean,
think
but
people don't wanna
okay,
grow up.
when I
think
talk
that's
about-
On the gram, though.
scariest thing.
When I talk about pros, like if it's
Yeah, let's
50-year-olds in the club, you think 13-year-olds gonna want to go to the club, or they gonna think that's some lame shit and it steer them in a different
now,
direction?
well,
It's a
I
different
don't know.
club.
I think it depends.
But I don't think-
I think that most things depend on how you take it. Where like your parent can do degenerate situations, but do you look up to them?
Mm-hmm.
If you look up to them, then you're going to see that way differently. Like, I'm gonna use this example. This is the perfect example, right? I think that Rail and his pops. I just beat dog shit out of him, man. Bowling. Right? I just beat dog shit out of him. Right? But he was with his pops.
You saying bro 0-2 at the game night?
Hey, oh damn, he is 0-2. I ain't think about that. He definitely was. He took the L at Top Golf. Bowling.
Bro, we at Top Golf. These niggas caring about putting the ball in the hole. I'm trying to launch that bitch. Who cares about the damn? They need to have a driving game in
Oh,
Top
my bad.
Golf, bro.
I got you.
Nobody
I got
cares about them damn points, bro. You can literally tap the ball on the ground and just let it roll in the damn hole.
All right, but so what I would say is that one thing that I did recognize though, honestly, would be the fact that there is a space in which you for sure look up to your dad, and because y'all look and dress exactly the same, and that's not by it's not by happenstance. That's also not like this isn't a dig though. Like
No,
I'm
no,
not,
I get you, I get you.
like I think that like y'all like frame glasses very similar. You know what I mean? Like y'all don't necessarily have the same haircut, but like the chin, like y'all both might be in like a nice little, you know what I mean, simple collar shirt, some jeans, and whatever shoes you have on.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a very similar like thing to you,
Yeah,
to where like that's something that you seen, you appreciate, and it was like, that's something I grab. I see that as a man. I see that as whatever it might be. So I think that going back to the piece, I think that it is important how they look at their parents. If they look at their parents as corny, then they're going to look at it as corny. But if they think that if they look up to their parents, that's something that they'll probably dive into. Like that parent that's
facts.
wilding out and like whatever. How we maybe another question is like, what's wilding out in the gram? What is acceptable? What's the limit of acceptable and not acceptable? But let's go to the first question first. My bad.
Yeah, you was actually naming. You had one. You was saying I was.
You had Juan.
Juan.
I'm trying to get the dose. I'm trying to get the dose.
Juan. Where's the first one? The first one. Hold on, but his first one was that you could be. Your first one was that you could be. You can get to see them grow up and grow out of it.
With the evolution, but he said
That's bullshit.
if they haven't evolved,
That's
if
bullshit.
they haven't evolved. But
the thing
but no,
is-
I know. I will say this. I do know girls that had kids in high school.
Right, that
They-
got themselves together.
Most of them are not the same chick.
Facts.
Most of them have evolved,
Facts.
and most of them probably have put something on paper that you can say, "Oh, mama used to be like this," and
Oh,
so
about paper.
and like some of them even got married, they housewives,
Facts.
and so like there is that evolution in people that had kids real early, and their kids could see them online way back then versus now.
But hold up though. So I get what you're saying. I agree with what you're saying. There was a lot of the girls that got pregnant in high school that you can look at them now, and they've done a whole 360, no 180. With that 360 thing, it puts you right back in the same place. A 180. You know what I mean? You've seen that. I've seen that. But we're not talking about that. He was
That's
talking
what I'm.
about-
That's
but
literally
hold
what
on,
I'm talking
hold on,
about.
hold on. We wasn't on the goddamn gram when we was in high school.
Newton's trying to go to the
He trying to
brighter side of
Newton some
life.
shit, bro.
Yeah.
He trying to Newton around, bro. We ain't gonna do it.
But we're talking about the future generation. We ain't talking about our
But we was
generation.
still
We're talking
our
about
generation-
kids
no.
now.
We was talking about the kids, or the kids.
We're talking about the future generation. How can they say? But I'm saying if you had a kid now at high school and you were wilding, and then 20 years later you made something with your life, and that whole thing is on
Right,
the
so,
gram,
all right, so
they
here-
might
here's
just
my-
take
here's
something.
my
That's-
thing.
That was
So-
the only thing about a
all
positive.
All right, so-
I got you, I got you.
Newton.
I give you
I
that.
got hold it down.
No, I get that, but let me throw you back in the box. Right. So we talk about actually, like we actually talking about like the person that didn't progress. Like I think that you're talking about a romantic situation, a romanticized situation. That's what I mean by that. Like a romanticized situation in which that's the best case scenario. Let's all be real. Like what you describe is the best case scenario where you can like naturally see your progression as a human through social media. But then let's be real, like that is not the status quo when it comes to the gram, to Facebook, to whatever.
My pushback is you're going to use the worst example.
Let's just go medium.
Hold on, this is a good point too. The thing is that you may be doing better in life, right? Let's say you got a better job, right? But that is not a reflection of what you know what I mean? A lot of people don't necessarily.
You still posting the toxic memes.
Yeah,
you still smoking weed in the camera, blowing the smoke. You still outside twerking and shaking your ass.
Imagine taking. Most 36-year-olds aren't smoking weed in the camera,
36?
twerking in the
That's
camera.
playing, bro. Stop like
36-year-old. What 36-year-old you know smoking weed in the camera, twerking in the camera?
Every single rapper. Every single rapper.
We only talking about regular people.
I'm talking about. I ain't talking about real rappers.
Okay, got you. Your local rappers, cool.
Every single one of them blowing smoke and shit all in the.
I'm not even gonna hold you. I think that the majority if we went, we can take this. If I'm looking at females, right? Most women that are popping for what will be the word clout are blowing smoke in the camera. Like I don't even think that that's like something that's out of the norm. Those same women are also popping their ass on the camera.
Hookah in the camera, but they,
bro, like all right, but so hold on. I think that we're even getting away from it. Like you're turning it to where like we don't even dive into the actual.
Well, yeah, I was thinking
because
that
of like
that was just one point. I said that may be a pro as far as there's obvious cons to it. Seeing your parents grow up on the internet, you know. So, okay.
But yeah, so all right, got you. Well, then in that form, I think that yes, that's fair.
Sound like you was trying to stretch Armstrong some shit.
No,
he was being Newton.
That was stretch Armstrong some shit.
No, I'm just saying that's one possible
Newton Armstrong.
That's one possible pro, or I don't because it depends on the person.
All right, but now let's stay. I don't even know if it's important. All right, I don't want to keep going back to it because I don't know if you're going to like pivot again. But going back to like the general consensus of like your your kids in general. Like we just open this up. Kids in general seeing their parents on the internet. I think that it's a very interesting space to be at because of the reality is that if you have a public account on the internet. Your middle school kid and high school kid, and I'm be honest, like I see women on the internet, and this is what brought me to this, that are outside, they're in the club, they're doing X, Y, and Z, and they got a public account, and they got kids in high school, and these women also don't look bad, so it's nothing for like this kids, your kids. Friends that want to look you up and be like, dang, Miss Parker. You know what I'm saying? And then see that, and then boom, you ain't got to follow it. It's public. So now it's like I can look at your mom twerk and be wild
how hot would you
at
be
3 a.m.
Your homeboy was following your mom.
Crazy.
God damn, boy, we getting in some waters now, though.
So now what'd you say to that?
Deep waters, bro.
I put you in what'd you say to that?
I will reference my previous statement. That's one of the obvious cons. I will reference.
Listen, one thing he gonna keep is the get out of jail free card.
Say I'm gonna reference my previous statement.
Yeah.
Hey, you see how niggas get in boxes and start trying to articulate?
But no, that wasn't a box. I said that earlier. I said I left that. I cut a hole in the box before he probably put me in there.
Okay. Then you was supposed to be making a list, wasn't it?
I got the one. Y'all didn't let me get the number. Y'all ain't let me get the dose. Y'all ain't let me get the dose. I think if your kid do look up to you, and it comes down to how you do the internet, because not everybody's irresponsible with the internet. And some people like. I think if you're doing something,
do you think most people are responsible though?
I hate when we start talking like about the minority population of a certain topic.
Yeah,
I don't want to talk about the minority, bro.
Okay,
it's
well
a pointless conversation. That well, not
Well, then,
everybody.
okay.
walks their dog
Time
on
out.
Saturday
Yes.
nights.
Time out. If we're gonna talk about how most people use the internet, then it probably is no like good benefit. But we're talking about responsible people using the internet. There could be some.
We're always talking about the majority of the
Yeah,
population.
let's always
In
take the
every-
majority
in
in some
all
of those
All right.
conversations.
Well then, like, put your pages on private because your kid gonna see it and he gonna be out here wilding too.
There you go.
There it is.
Real nigga
There
do
it
it.
is.
He, look,
You know
That's
what?
all we-
like as soon
for.
as he stopped backpedaling, I need to know what kind of bike you got. Cause like you can backpedal crazy, but still
yeah.
seem like you moving forward. but it's a crazy kind of
Hey,
bike.
but you ever see them niggas that can backpedal and then they swing that motherfucker upside down?
That's
That's
that,
what he just did.
that shit called a moonwalk.
That's what it is.
And Billy Ocean.
But you know what? This even happened to me with my niece, right? My niece is in her early 20s. She's a grown adult. And she was like, yo, auntie, I need to come party with you because you look like you be having fun. I was like,
Red flag.
dang. Like,
You said I
my
had to
niece
change
really is
behavior.
following me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a parent, so I can't put myself in, like, a parent's mindset when it comes to that. But I'm just like, dang, like, my niece, but she's also grown, so it's kind of like,
But you're
like, but she's seeing me out because I'm posting it.
But Taj, you're a responsible person. You think anything you post online is gonna lead your niece down to negativity?
Hold on,
Oh,
how
no.
you gonna automatically assume Taj ain't been outside before? That was a preconceived notion that you know what I mean, went to.
I got the answer because she done went through my vetting process.
Hey.
Facts. Facts.
Hey, I already knew what the answer was too. Honestly,
That was an alley oop.
I already knew what the answer was too. You supposed to windmill that, man. Yeah. But yeah, nah. And then something I thought about too is like it's even like IG. Okay, there's a lot of older people that don't necessarily have Instagram.
Nah, when you wilding on
But when
Facebook,
you on Facebook,
when you in the book wilding,
now that's the absolute red flag because you got
That's a
uncles,
different
you better
kind
not
of
say them goddamn
uncles
stories
and all
to
that on
Facebook at
Facebook.
least.
Your grandma got a Facebook page.
Yeah.
Now, if
That
you out
is
on the
very
gram, you
true.
gonna disappoint two generations.
But you know what? On Instagram, there is a feature to where you can automatically upload to Facebook.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
it is, yeah,
that's
they
what I
have
said. You
the
gotta
same
uncheck that.
You gonna
Every
disappoint.
time.
You gonna disappoint the previous and the future generation. You on Facebook while
Talk about God.
Nah, but we all
damn.
got the family members. You just be like, yo,
Yeah.
yo.
I don't
You
chill with them
again?
in real life though.
Mm-hmm.
I don't be with them in real life. That's fam though. I love them though.
some internet cousins.
Yeah.
Everybody
I
got
fuck
the
with
internet
y'all, though.
cousins. Ain't seen them motherfuckers in 8 years. Motherfuckers don't come to the family reunion, don't pull up to Thanksgiving, nothing but be on the internet wilding.
Outside. Than a motherfucker.
Yeah. Nah, I mean that's a fact. Germ, I don't know. Did you express your whole piece on that?
Yeah, bro. I ain't gonna be the dead horse on the shit, bro. And yeah, I think we should. Oh no, that'll be my positive takeaway for the day. I'm gonna rest my case on positive takeaways.
Oh my bad. So that you gonna.
I'm good. I'm checking out.
All right, cool. I think that's a good little segue that we can kind of hop into it.
So I guess that's we're getting to the positive takeaway for this week.
Yeah.
I'll give y'all boys some time. You want it, Quint?
I can take one. I think
I'll let
that
Quint roll.
I can build off of like our last, the middle conversation that we had that I thought was really, really important. My positive takeaway for the week would be talk to your friends. Have conversations with your friends. Check in with your friends. Make sure your friends are doing all right. I think that is extremely important. Like I can point to like I said, me and Rail, we kind of unpacked some shit a little bit. I also had, people that was here earlier that were going through shit with friends, in which is like sometimes that conversation is extremely needed.
For
It's
preventative
really,
maintenance too. Sometimes it's good to have it before something happens.
No, for sure, and that's what I'm saying. Like not just a conversation after the fact, but sometimes an antecedent or what would be the word like a precursor or like
That's a hell of a word. What you say? Antecedent?
Yeah,
That's an
antecedent.
SAT. This boy smart as hell.
It was them
My bad.
glasses teachers took
Boy.
off.
My bad. Hey, listen, I'm gonna do the rest of them with this. But yeah, so I think that
You understand me?
You understand me? But yeah, what I would say is that I do think that it is important in general, though. To kind of get back serious, make sure that you check in with your friends. Make sure you check in with, I mean, obviously check in with your family, but friends, where sometimes you don't know exactly what they're going through. And at times there's parts where like checking in means a lot. I can give a scenario where like I was going through a tough time and both of the brothers on the pod, they both checked in. And to me that meant the world. Like it meant a lot. Where like sometimes even like you don't got to know what to say. That's not important. Like I think that at times the fact that you care, the fact that you know what I mean, like you're showing the effort, the fact that you're on their mind, mean that they're on your mind means a lot to that person. And you'll be surprised how many conversations, how many situations that repairs, how many situations that it prevents. Yeah, so my positive takeaway in general is going to be checking with your friends.
No, that's a good one.
Even your strong friends.
Well, my bad. Let's go into that real
Even
quick.
more so.
I about to say, I think that's probably the most important thing. Checking with your strong friends. Like I can only imagine. I think that I present myself probably as a strong friend, and I know that life overwhelms me at times, and sometimes just a nigga checking in sometimes means extremely a lot. It means a lot, and that's something that we don't really sit and think about. Sometimes we look at like a person that gives advice or gives like X, Y, and Z as like, all right, you got to figure it out. You know what you're doing. You on the path. Just because you gave me such great advice, like you got it all figured out. But the reality is that
no, that's fact.
none of us really got it all figured out. We're all walking through the motions.
We all freestyling.
It's extremely important that like checking with your strong friends, because of those people, they probably getting the most baggage dumped on them. One, you know what I mean? That motherfucker like this. You know what I mean? They just dumping.
When it's heavy for the strong friend, it's really heavy.
Right.
Like if the strong friend can't carry it, like
but then you also got to think what's normal for the strong friend is probably heavy still. That's a strong ass back still.
Yeah, for the regular person, that's fact.
You know what I mean?
That's weight.
Right. And just because like your homeboy or homegirl doesn't expressively say like, "Hey, I'm going through a tough time," doesn't mean that they're not. And that's something to really make sure that you keep conscious with like your tight friend group. That's my positive takeaway for sure.
Oh, okay. What's you?
You want to go?
That was dope. That was dope.
No, that's a good one.
That was
That's
a good one.
definitely something to keep in mind.
Positive takeaway, killer.
Yes, that's something slight. Hold on, I got you. No, my positive takeaway it goes back to the social media conversation, right?
Okay.
I think that we need to be intentional about understanding the language that we use and the popularity of these particular words that we use, like even toxic and like settling. I think that there's a message that like the thing is that we all settle. We all settle because
This
there's nothing
nigga-
that's perfect.
Positive takeaway is a fire conversation. Go ahead.
Yeah, but we all settle because there's nothing perfect. You know what I mean? And that's with friendships. You know what I mean? It's hard. You know what I mean? It may sound bad to say like I settle with my friends, but at the end of the day, it's not really the idea. Settling is a bad word to you. Just like what was it? The other one. It was another word we were talking about in the previous episode.
Submission.
Submission. You know what I mean? These little words. That
Even
we
like
tend to use
ego
to
and
popularize.
humble and being humble and
Yeah, because you could look up the definition of humble and then it'll change your idea of using it when you want to use it. But the word like settling. I'm not gonna settle. I'm not gonna settle. I mean, okay, it sounds good.
Yeah.
We're trying to actually live out these ideas of words that we're overly using, which aren't real. The idea is that no, you will. You know what I mean? You've been settling your entire life, and you're going to continue to. because you will never obtain every single thing, and nobody that you meet is going to have every characteristic or nobody. So you're going to settle. So let's be more cognizant of the words that we're using, or try to be more. I mean, it ain't like you're gonna flip a switch and now you can just fucking be the best. You know what I mean? Articulate. You
Just
can articulate the
just
best
be
and
more
all that.
intentional with your words.
Right. Be more intentional with your words, and yeah, that's my positive takeaway for the day. Johnny.
And I got 2 words. Asia Wilson. That's my positive takeaway. She from South Carolina. I meant to shout out a couple weeks ago when she won the WNBA title. Didn't get to. She just won a gold medal for USA basketball. She's from South Carolina, Hopkins, South Carolina. She got a statue built outside of Colonial Life Arena
That's dope.
at University of South Carolina. She's one of the most dominant women basketball players of all time. Probably one of the most dominant athletes to come from South Carolina. As far as like, she's 2-time WNBA MVP. She just won Defensive Player of the Year. I meant to shout her out a few weeks ago, but it just so happened that, you know, she just won the gold title this week. So as far as just, I'm an 803 boy, so to see some 803 greatness, I just gotta shout that out. And that was just my positive takeaway. I just wanted to show some love. But that was the To Be Fair show. I am your host, Johnny P.
Oh, yeah, real.
It's Q.
We out.
Peace,
Yeah.
family.